You're listening to The Secrets of Sacred Art, where we unearth the hidden treasures, deeper meanings, and in religious and sacred art. We're your hosts, Kathryn Laffrey
and Alix Murray. Welcome to episode 31, Porta Santa, the art of the holy doors. In this episode, we will explore the art and images of the 5 holy doors for the Jubilee Year, Pilgrims of Hope, sorry.
Oh, pilgrims, yes.
Yeah. Please follow The Secrets of Sacred Art in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. For a fuller experience, you can join us on the SQPN YouTube channel, where you can see all the images we're discussing on the show. You can find us on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, on X at SQPN, or on Instagram at StarQuest Network.
Well, happy Jubilee Year.
Thank you.
Yeah, I busted out my green color and my flowery shirt just to have that feeling of hope.
There you go.
So Jubilee of Hope. So it's got to get all springtime hopeful. It's not springtime yet while we're recording.
No, it's a long way from spring.
The little groundhog said expect 6 more weeks of winter, which we do anyway in Michigan. We have snow today, so.
Oh, I'm kind of jealous. We have snowdrops. I have snowdrops in my garden, which are really nice. Yeah. But we both have on green. Mine's a little bit of a mossy, damp green, which goes along with the weather.
And so everyone knows we do not plan our outfits ahead of time. This just happens.
I know. Well, once we did, but that was for animals, and that was fun.
Yes, it was. That was fun. We had to get the animals on. So we're talking about the Jubilee Year. Great way to kick off our 4th season. Yay.
I know.
This is exciting. So I feel like we're kicking open the doors here, literally. And we're going to have a fun talk. But we need to talk about, in case some people don't know, what is a Jubilee Year?
Yeah. Well, I have to say something. First, I've always known what a Jubilee is. And if we have any listeners or viewers who come from the Gulf Coast, their idea of a Jubilee is slightly different from the Catholic Jubilee. So a Jubilee happens in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and it's kind of a rare occurrence, and it's just because of the way the isthmus, I think, comes out into the water, and it's when deep water fish and crabs are swept up on land, and so it's easy fishing, and it's called a Jubilee. Which So I think it only happens in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and so that was my first that's what I thought a Jubilee was, and obviously when I became Catholic, and we had I think it was the Year of Mercy. It wasn't a Jubilee year, but learning about Jubilees, I automatically go back to being a young girl on the Gulf. On Gulf Shores, at Gulf Shores, Alabama, and hearing about the Jubilees there. But anyway, that's not the Jubilee we're talking about, although it was named after, it references that Jubilee of this great abundance of mercy and forgiveness.
It does tie in, doesn't it?
It does a little bit. And, but maybe I can just talk a little bit about what the Vatican explains what the Jubilee is. In ancient Judaism, the Jubilee year was a year that was declared holy. During this period, the Mosaic law prescribed that slaves could regain their freedom, and that land, of which God was the sole master, should be returned to its former owners. A Jubilee year was typically celebrated every 50 years. In the Christian era, after the first Jubilee...
Hold on, Alex, before you jump into the Christian era...
Oh, yeah.
Back to the original, because this ties in with your story about the Gulf Coast. Oops. Hold on. Again. So during that Jubilee year, the people were not supposed to till the soil and plant crops.
Oh.
They just had to go on the abundance that was naturally provided. Okay. Just like the fish.
Just like
there's
the
that
fish
natural
and the
abundance.
Crabs. That's amazing. Isn't that is so cool.
I love it.
Yes. Yeah. And it's not, and these Jubilees don't happen all the time. I think the last one happened last year, but it's not something that happens every year. And I don't know.
Hopefully it's better than the alewives that we get up here in Michigan.
The what?
The little tiny stinky fish that get washed up on shore in Lake Michigan. The whole beach is covered in them, but it's not a pretty smell.
No, oh no. I'm sure this doesn't smell good, but at least this stuff is big enough where you can eat it. Yeah, it's just considered like you just go out and you can just get all this seafood if you're a seafood eater or seafood lover. Yeah, yeah. So that is interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. So, but in the Christian era, after the first Jubilee of 1300, Pope Boniface VIII fixed the frequency of the Jubilee celebrations to every 100 years. Following a plea from the people of Rome to Pope Clement VI, the frequency was reduced to every 50 years, and that was in 1342. In 1389, in remembrance of the number of years in the life of Christ, Urban VI chose to set the Jubilee cycle to every 33 years and called for a Jubilee in 1390. In 1400, at the end of the previous fixed 50-year period, without having declared a Jubilee ahead of time, Boniface IX granted a Jubilee indulgence to the pilgrims who had flocked to Rome.
You can imagine without the communication we have now, people would have just, it's 1400. We should go. It's got to be a Jubilee year. Yeah. They
just assumed, and it didn't happen, but thankfully he made an exception and it did. Yeah. So in 1425, Martin V celebrated a new Jubilee, opening the holy doors of St. John Lateran for the first time. The last to celebrate a Jubilee on the 50-year cycle was Pope Nicholas V in 1450. Pope Paul II reduced the inter-Jubilee period to 25 years, and in 1475, a holy year was celebrated by Sixtus IV. Yes, I just had to check those Roman numerals.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Sixtus IV.
It's the I before or after the V.
Exactly. From then on, ordinary jubilees were held at regular intervals. Unfortunately, the Napoleonic Wars prevented the celebrations of the Jubilee in 1800 and 1850. To learn more about Jubilee years, you can check out the official Vatican website, jubileum25.va, and all the links will be in our show notes, so you don't have to.
Yeah, we have a lot of good links in the show notes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of, I guess, our way of kind of taking a virtual pilgrimage in a way. I don't know. Yeah. Do you have a chance to go to Rome at all for the pilgrimage or the Jubilee?
I'm not, unfortunately. I've only been to Italy twice. And I would love to go back again, but this is not going to be the year. Our big holiday is going to be in Michigan.
Yay, Michigan!
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's on my bucket list. I'm trying to figure out when to get to Rome someday. So,
yeah, I would say don't go in the summer months.
I've heard that it's very warm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we went in October to Rome, and we went to the Vatican. And my poor Northern European family really suffered. I was okay. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, the sun, because we lived in Norway at the time, and the sun was like this distant memory for me. So I loved it, but no, everybody else, they were miserable. They were absolutely miserable, and that was October.
Yeah. Wow.
So I can't. Yeah.
So there you go for all of our viewers. You don't have to sweat it out in Rome.
You don't.
Join us and check out the holy doors with us. So that'll be kind of fun. There's a big significance to the fact that there's actually holy doors. I mean, you could have a Jubilee year, but then why the doors?
Yeah.
It's like, this is a little different. There weren't doors back in the day. So from the Jubilee website, which really check out that website, they did a really good job of kind of giving you little bits and pieces and ways to find out more.
Yeah,
so the opening of the holy door.
As well.
Sorry. Oh yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
And so the opening of the holy door actually constitutes the official beginning of the holy year. So that was done Christmas Eve for this Jubilee.
Yeah,
and that was really neat to see Pope Francis doing he was able to get up. He's been wheelchair bound a bit lately.
Yeah.
So he actually was able to get up and give the doors a push open.
Yeah, God bless him. Yeah.
Yay. Yeah. So the doors are the sign of the Jubilee because the pilgrims are actually called to pass through the door. That's part of the indulgences that are the requirements for the indulgence that are set up, is actually passing through the door, because crossing through the threshold of the holy door is to remind us of chapter 10, verse 9 in St. John's Gospel, where Jesus says, I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. So that's why we're called to enter through these holy doors and actually come back into the church. So maybe you've been away for a while and you want to come back in. What a great year to do it.
This is, the church makes it, the church makes herself open and available to anyone who wants to come home. So we just want to encourage people, even if you're just wondering about it a little bit. Go on.
Yeah. Come and
home.
see.
Yeah.
And especially coming home now during a Jubilee year, where there's so many deep tradition and history. And I was so happy, Alix, you had sent me this one website, and it's actually from, is it from the foundry that made one of the doors?
I think it is. It's from the foundry that made the one set of the holy doors.
Yeah. So they had a great 2-part history on the holy doors, including having this wonderful coin, which is the first image that actually relates and shows the opening of a holy door.
Yeah.
And it's minted on a coin. I love how we have the nativity on one side.
Yeah, when I'm thinking about Christmas, how it started on Christmas, this must be,
Yeah. And then if you look carefully at the other side of the coin, you have, I'm assuming it's Pope Clement VII.
Yes.
And he's got his hammer.
Yep.
And wailing away at the bricks that were closing the holy door.
He is. And I love St. Peter up in the clouds holding he's got his keys, and he's got like I just noticed this, the door that St. Peter is kind of maybe has the key to is a mirror image of the larger door that Pope Clement VII is breaking down the bricks from. So it's like the gate of heaven. Really?
Yeah. And it really does give you that connection between the physical representation of heaven on earth in the church.
Yes.
And then, it's just mirroring the reality.
Exactly. And it's also, looking at this commemorative coin from 1525, this is connecting us back to our, the Catholic heritage of the 16th century. But the reality of this goes all the way back to the Old Testament. This is something that has been with us even as God was preparing for the world for the incarnation. That I think that's so amazing. And of course, then we have the nativity on the other side. And we'll just have to tell our viewers, right before this, I did a quick Google translation of what it says on the side of the coin that has the nativity, because I was telling Kathryn, I am the world's worst translator of whatever language. I can read some, but I don't know why, it just does not come out properly to translate it. So this one I needed some help. And it says, today, the salvation of the world has become a reality. And I think that's wonderful.
And that's what these Jubilee years are about. Letting that salvation become reality to us.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's fun to see in this little side image here, where we have the silver hammer and the trowel that would have been used over the different Jubilee years. And they weren't used very long, they were used very long. They weren't used forever. So from 1500 until 1975, the popes would begin the destruction of the wall that enclosed the holy door with using the hammer. And then he would strike it 3 times. So give it a good rap. And then masons would come in and complete taking it down. Yeah. But there were a couple accidents over the years where the popes would hit at it, and the wall was made to kind of break down a certain way. And when a couple bricks land on the pope, you make changes.
Oh, no. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So they simplified it a little. And what I loved was this was my first year to ever see the ceremony of the Recanitio. I think I said that right. Recanitio.
Okay.
That's the verification day. So you can see the doors are walled up on the inside now. With these new doors, they stay on the outside.
So you can see the doors, but you can't enter through these doors.
Yeah, not when there's a brick wall like this behind it.
Yeah.
But it was really neat to see, thanks to EWTN's coverage. They showed the workers laying down a mat. They go up to the little square that's on the wall, start hammering away at it. And you can see the stuff falling at their feet.
Yeah, yeah.
And then this little space opens up, and they pull out of it this box. And then the box was...
Oh, I see the box. Yeah, I see the box.
Yeah, so they have the box that they're wheeling in procession. There were a bunch of cardinals and stuff there. And they had to open the box, and I have to laugh at myself a little first, because when they went to open the box, they kind of pry it open, and then out comes the power tools. And I was laughing because I'm like, this is the first time I've seen power tools used in church. And the first thing that went through my mind was the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
Oh, no.
From Monty Python. I was like, is this the holy power tools of Rome? I don't know, but it was
that is so funny.
It just made me laugh, just to be like, yay.
Yeah. But you want to know something? That kind of thing, like looking at those the trowel and the hammer, those were gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Those look like something that would have been made in Erebor. Or Moria. Yeah, they're just, like dwarves would make hammers like that, ceremonial hammers. Mm-hmm. And, and those seem very like timeless or, these things have been around. But to have the power tools, that's kind of like modern day people becoming a part of this tradition, so who knows, mm-hmm. like maybe in 300 years, they'll just take it. They'll be like the official phaser that will be in there. They'll just
the phaser, the laser cutter. I don't know.
Exactly.
But yeah, inside the box were keys for the door and handles. I think there might have been hinges also.
Oh, wow.
Or at least there were at one point in time. So yeah, okay, cool. Pretty neat. Yeah. So just a real quick kind of overview of the doors that are available this year. I know when we had the Year of Mercy, I think every diocese set up a door for the Year of Mercy. So this year we're a little more just boom, we got the 5 doors. And the one that was opened first was on the 24th, and that was at St. Peter's. And that's, I think, the one that's always open first now.
That would make sense that it would be. Yeah.
Yeah. And then something special this year, Pope Francis next on the 26th went to the prison in Rome. How do you say that, Alix? Is it Rebibia?
I would say Rebibia.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
So on the door of their chapel, which is dedicated to the Chapel of Our Father.
Okay,
they had these bronze doors put up for that. And again, Pope Francis actually stood up to push these doors open. He's always had a heart for those who are incarcerated. And I thought that was neat that he really, made the effort for them. I think this is the same prison he's gone to wash feet.
Okay. That would make sense. So are these doors at this prison, are those new doors that have been recently?
They're newer. I could not find the exact year.
Okay.
And I don't know if they're there all the time. That was the hardest thing, trying to find good pictures of, were these doors here all the time?
Yeah.
I don't know. So maybe one of our viewers know. That's what our Discord community is for. Fill in information.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I can say I haven't been to prison yet.
Glad to hear it, Kathryn.
But then the next door opened was on the 29th at St. John Lateran. And beautiful door there. And I like putting the little facade for these churches too, for anyone who's lucky enough to go, or maybe they're on the trip with the SQPN pilgrimage.
Yeah.
You guys will all go and see this.
I know. I'm sure they will. How can you not? Sorry.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
we just plan the tour. But anyway, yeah.
And then we have on January 1st with St. Mary Major.
Beautiful.
And then the last one to be open was at St. Paul outside the wall. We've got the door there.
Yeah.
So a lot of, and again, EWTN, if you happen to follow their Instagram, I was just loving seeing all this stuff kind of happen in real time as they were posting things.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of to give you an idea of, and someday I want to be there, but when you're walking
we'll be there together.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, there we go. So we're going to St. Peter's, and I kind of marked exactly where the door is located in the front portico.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just to give everybody an idea where it is.
And I've been to the Vatican, so we've and it's amazing, of course. And I remember seeing these doors. In fact, I remember seeing the walled off side inside, and people would touch the cross. And I was like, why can't we go through this door? I was a fairly new Catholic.
Is it broken? No.
Yes. What's the matter with this? They should open this now. I'm here. But anyway, yeah.
Well, now you got a real connection to it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So very cool.
So I'm going to take a closer look at this door because it's fabulous.
Yes,
it's at St. Peter's, and it's just amazing. This door was installed in 1950 for that holy year.
Mm.
Yeah. And then Alix, I think you had found, let me go back a second, actually. Down at the bottom of the door, at the very bottom, there's the inscription on the bottom of the doors.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah. You don't have to read the Latin if you want to just give the English translation.
Thank you. Yeah, I won't do it. I won't do a Latin translation, and I won't read it in Latin. Although, to be fair, I did practice, but glad you let me off the hook there. So Pius XII, Pontifex Maximus, as the holy year 1950 drew near, ordered Ludovico Cos, curator of Peter's Temple, to adorn the Vatican Basilica with the bronze panels of this holy door. And what it says in Latin, but I'll tell you what it says in English. From here, the waters of grace flow abundantly. May they purify the soul of anyone who enters, restoring their spirit with divine peace and adorning them with Christian virtue. Holy year 1950. That's beautiful. And I love the emphasis on Christian virtue. Mm-hmm. So needed in the world today. I hope that people, when they walk through there, have a desire to become virtuous, because the world will be blessed by greater virtues. Just saying.
Oh yeah. So what's really neat is this door has 16 panels that all kind of guide the pilgrim into seeing how salvation has come to the world.
Yeah.
And we're going to kind of work our way from top to bottom on the door. Okay. And then the panels on the door were done by Vico Consorti was the artist who did these.
Okay.
And
then
he did
Ludovico Coss was the the curator of, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe it was at his workshop, but he was the curator.
So oops, didn't want to do that. Sorry, everybody. Having a moment here.
I know. Guess what? We're human beings. All kinds of things happen.
Goodness. Where did it go?
Oh no. Oh no.
Gosh. Alix, what did I do? Hold on.
I can't help you, Kathryn.
Okay, so I'd like to take a closer look at these panels because they are absolutely fabulous. And the bronze work that they're done in is actually a very old lost wax technique. Yeah. So these would have been carved in wax, and then the wax gets melted away out of the mold. Then we'll do a mold of it, and then the bronze gets poured in to fill the space.
Yeah. But I think to get this kind of beautiful, it's a relief, but there's, the depth of these fairly shallow relief sculptures. I just don't know how you can do it with any other method except the lost wax method, because the details, and there's a softness, but there's a strength behind them. That's what bronze does anyway. But I just think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautifully
they're lovely.
done. Yeah.
So starting at the top of the door here, we have an angel with a fiery sword and a fruit tree with a snake around it. And then we have a stag in his doe and a pheasant all running. Sound like anything familiar, Alix?
I know. What could this be? No, so this is what I love about this. And of course, the angel look at the movement of that angel. I mean, it looks like he is moving so fast and driving poor Adam and Eve out of the garden. And it's almost like the snake is almost, the angle of the snake's head and everything really looks a lot like the angels. Like they're the same. There's like an echoing there. Not that I'm saying that the snake and the angel are the same thing, but just visually, it's beautiful. It makes so much sense. The same thing with the angel's knee. It's just that movement brings the eye, and then there's a pheasant right at the, next to the angel's knee. And just that movement.
I also wonder if that pheasant isn't like a peacock or the phoenix. Ooh.
Could be. You never know. I'm basic. I'm saying it's the pheasant. But,
I'm just like thinking people are going to have to go back and watch the first Animal Menagerie.
That's true. And And just everybody's like kind of driving them out of paradise. And one of the things that I love about these two images is I love how there's clearly a wall around paradise. There's a wall around Eden. And, beyond the wall, those are the places that God intended human beings to sanctify and to bring into the garden. But it didn't quite work out that way. So I just, because I think sometimes people envision all of the whole planet was like the Garden of Eden. And no, that was a specific place. It was the king's garden, and it had a wall around it. And so this image of Adam and Eve being driven away and this wall being between them and paradise is beautifully illustrated here. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah. And the deep shame that you see on Adam and Eve covering their faces. Adam's got his loin covered. It's just like, Yeah, he's bringing death with him already. That's an animal's skin. So they've already brought death into the world. Yeah. So we have that one. The next to it, the promise. Yes.
Again, these angels I love these angels.
Yes. Yeah, these are really, really well done.
Yeah.
And then just our classic Annunciation scene. Mary, and she's pondering the Word of God. She's got the book there on the pedestal next to her.
Yep.
We always see the lily there for her purity. And then the dove in the window. I love how the window is detailed even.
Yeah, because it almost suggests like the garden returning through her.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know? Yes, lots of details in the window. And details in the curtains. Look at that.
Yeah, because they talked about Mary, the tradition, small t tradition of her working at the temple, possibly, was one of the temple versions working on the curtain there and the embroidery work. And then our little friend there behind the curtain.
I know. I don't know why I wanted to say, oh, that's like a Carmelite. I have no idea why I'm saying that. Maybe if it makes sense to someone, they'll have to let us know.
So are the Carmelites very contemplative and quiet, aren't they?
They are. I don't know how quiet they are, but very contemplative and very cat-like, I think. And again, the lightness of Gabriel. I just I love it, and the movement, and it's almost like the wind is blowing here. At the beating of his wings, or the Holy Spirit as wind. It's beautiful.
And then the little subtle detail behind him of what looks like another holy door.
You know what? Yeah, it does. Because he showed me this and I'm like, look at the cat. Totally missed everything else. But
I've tried several times to zoom in to try to figure it out. Who's there? But I just couldn't get a good enough view.
But I think you're right. I think it's like an echo of the holy doors.
Mm-hmm. All right. So in the second row, we start with the baptism of Christ.
Yeah.
And very fitting because when these holy doors are open, that's one of the feast days that's celebrated during that time is the baptism of Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is beautifully rendered. I love how the artist used the classical imagery that you'll see in iconography and paintings and stained glass.
Yeah.
So it has a very timeless feel. So you have the angel holding the garment, and then Christ submitting to being baptized, the dove just above him is representing the Holy Spirit, and then John in his hair shirt.
Yeah, yeah. And look at how the bronze, because of the way it's been rubbed, the water flowing over our Lord's feet is just, it moves. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. And then we have Christ the Good Shepherd.
Yes. I love this.
Oh, this is beautiful. It's amazing how many times I've seen imagery like this. And rarely, and I actually have a painting of my own that I was just in sketches. Do you see the sheepdog?
Exactly. Well, this is what the sheepdog and the Good Shepherd here, his arms are, they look like they're spanning as if they were on the cross as well as he's reaching for this lost sheep.
Exactly.
And going down, a really precarious cliff there. But then you've got the sheepdog, which I guess I'm going to associate a dog with the Dominicans and the friars, in the priesthood, kind of looking after the shepherd, after the sheep for the shepherd.
Yeah, exactly. So he's there. He's looking for the lost sheep. Think about walking through the holy door. There could be lost sheep coming home, looking at this image.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And Christ is literally reaching out to you. And if you've ever seen, I don't know why I ever got into watching these sheepdog competitions.
Oh, yeah.
So there's this moment where the shepherd sends his dog out just with little whistles and squeaks and crazy things like that. And the dog brings all the sheep back. And the only way that they can get those sheep to go into the gate is if the shepherd makes himself a literal extension of the door. So the shepherd will stand almost like Christ is posed here, his arms stretched out as far as he can. So the sheep are comfortable coming to the shepherd. And to get them to go into the gate, they kind of come to the shepherd and then go into the gate. They
go through the gate, yeah. To get washed and whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we saw a couple of sheepdog rounding up some sheep in a field a couple of weeks ago. And it was hilarious because they were obviously new at their job. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah. Well, tying in, we have another dog in our next panel.
Yeah, all these Dominicans everywhere. It's very...
In case you people can't tell, Alix is a Dominican.
Yes, lay Dominican. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So, no, these are also, again, the, the prodigal son here.
Mm-hmm.
And the grateful father and the little dog. It is interesting how he's got this little dog here kind of helping to celebrate with him. And, and the horse in the background, and how they make these doors, which are relatively flat, these bronze plaques. There's such dimension in them.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's because of the lost wax method.
Yeah. And it was interesting seeing the dog and the horse. The first thing that went through my mind was the dog is with the father, showing loyalty.
Yeah.
Unwavering loyalty. And then the horse looks like a young wild colt, and it's on the side of the son.
Yeah. And
so
he's not saddled.
Kind of a neat way for the animals to show what's happening here, the differences in the father and the son.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, going back to this tradition that we have of, animals, there are certain virtues, shall we say, or characteristics that animals have that we're supposed to emulate or be aware of in our own personalities. It's also, what do you think about this well behind the father?
Yeah, that was, obviously, we have that washing, the baptismal feel, and we just saw the baptism imagery. So that's kind of what I felt like through that. It's like that life-giving water. Yeah.
And I was thinking about the woman at the well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She was another one who Christ knew everything about her and said,
exactly.
Come to me and you will get eternal, the water of life. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking about her. Lots of things and of course the palm trees here. Yeah.
Yeah. This is just so beautifully done. This is probably one of my favorite images of the prodigal son now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
it. There's so much to look at there. Definitely.
So the companion panel that goes with it is the healing of the paralytic. And it's neat how just the simple detail of adding the roof line helps you understand that this is the story where his friends lowered him down through the roof.
Yes, yes.
Just a great simple way of expressing that little detail of the story.
Yeah. And he is saying, and Christ is saying, take up your mat and walk. And you can see the weakness of the paralytic, and yet his gaze is directly on Christ. It's beautiful. I even like their feet, and I don't like feet, but do you know what I mean? Like, I just love the way the draping of the robes and the blanket. It's so beautifully done.
And it's nice that these are just something there that you can reach out and have there's not art very often that you can have a feel of what it's, feels like. I would love to just touch the doors.
Yeah. Yeah. And it looks like
so we're going to go into our next row, and you'll see it's a little shinier. Probably this row is definitely at the height that most people would be able to reach.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Maybe the other ones were up a little too high, but that they couldn't see it, or couldn't reach them with their, because the thing is, the Vatican, I suppose this goes without saying, it is huge. Everything in that place just is huge. So these doors aren't like, a lot of people can walk through these doors of mercy. Let me just put it that way.
Okay. Shoulder to shoulder, quite a few people.
Yeah, they're huge. They're just big. Yeah.
Nice. So our imagery in the next row starts off with the woman washing Jesus's feet with her hair and her tears.
Yeah.
Very beautifully done. I love the way I don't know if it's supposed to be one of the apostles or, maybe one of the religious leaders who's kind of pondering what he's seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. There's a young boy there as well. I don't know if he's standing or sitting at the table.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love how this image is paired with Peter asking, "How many times, Lord?"
Yeah.
How many times do we forgive?
70 times.
This was the
70.
one Latin I knew right away. 70 times 7.
Times 70. Good for you. Good for you. And it is interesting. And I think as you start going through these images, I encourage our viewers to pay attention to the parts of these bronze doors that are shiny, because those are the parts where people have touched them. And it's really interesting as you go through this to see what part of these images really communicate to people. So, Christ's hand, to put your hand on his hand or put your hand on Peter's hand.
Yeah. Or notice the woman's back.
Yes.
I would probably definitely be one of the people who want to touch her back to be like, yep, been there, done that,
absolutely,
and need some help.
Exactly.
And I wonder if people kiss Jesus's knee if they're at the right height.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm sure they. I'm sure they have, or could if they were tall enough. But and it's interesting this thing of how many times do I forgive? Perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then paired right next to how many times, Lord?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Peter.
Oh, yeah.
Peter.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And this was, the Lord turned and looked straight at Peter, and Peter remembered what the Lord said to him: "Before the cock crows today, you will have disowned me 3 times." And he was just asking, how many times do I have to
yep.
It's beautiful. And this one, in this image, it's the rooster or the cock that has been touched the most, which is interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Why is that? Why is that what people connect with?
Yeah. Must be those times when it's obvious that we've been caught. You feel like, those greatest moments of guilt when it's like, oh, I did not just do that, did I?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And just to the point where it's, devastating when you become so aware of your sins, so aware of what you said you'd never do. And here you are doing it. Yeah. We've all been there.
Yeah. I love the subtle detail of the woman in the background. She was the one who was calling out Peter as, aren't you one of them?
Yeah.
And there's the little fire between them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like the rooster said, they both have called him out and he denied it. Yeah.
And then, of course, paired with this, we have the crucifixion scene. Yeah. And most specifically, this is when Christ is talking to the good thief.
Yeah.
And letting, you will be with me in paradise.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, his legs and everything are clearly.
Yeah. Again, there's that shininess been touched a lot.
Yeah. But people, it's, as I said, it's interesting. And of course, sometimes when you put something together as an artist, you don't necessarily, you have things that you want to emphasize and that you think are important. But then when somebody is interacting with a piece of art, you can't always predict where what's going to draw them in. So it's really interesting. I don't know if the artist had anticipated that people would be touching the rooster more than Christ in that one picture. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the small detail in the crucifixion scene of Christ's hands evenly over both.
Yeah.
And his blood is being poured out for both. Exactly.
Beautiful.
And, you have one looking to him and accepting that salvation, and the other giving up, head down.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? They're both suffering. This is the thing. You want to, I think it's normal to want to avoid suffering when you can, but it's unavoidable. But if it's suffering with Christ, or knowing that Christ is suffering with you, it's a little more bearable than if you just turn away. Yeah, because the suffering doesn't change. Yep. The suffering's not going anywhere. Yeah.
All right, so we have one more row in the door. And this fourth row starts with doubting Thomas.
Yeah.
Wants to know, is that really you, Lord?
Yeah. Blessed are those who have not seen but believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, look at where people are touching Thomas's hand.
Yeah.
They want to touch the wounds of Christ.
Yep. The movement on the figures in this image is beautiful.
It is. It really is.
Because Christ is just opening himself up.
Yes.
Here I am.
Exactly.
And Thomas almost seems to be driving forward and hesitant at the same time.
Yeah. I was just saying his hands are there's a lot of tension in those hands. Whereas in Christ, he's, like you said, he's just open.
Mm-hmm. And then in the next one, this is Christ breathing the Spirit onto the apostles, especially at the point where he's telling them to forgive sins.
Yeah.
Giving them that authority.
Exactly.
Which fits in with this Jubilee year, those holy doors.
Yeah. It's the church that organizes this and has maintained this tradition from, like I said, going back to the Old Testament all the way to today.
Yep. And then companion with this.
I love this.
Beautiful.
Yes. And this kind of recalls Caravaggio's painting of St. Paul, because of the horse, and the way he's falling.
Yeah, with his hands up and his head thrown back, just...
Yeah. Why are you persecuting me?
Yep.
Or I am Jesus whom you are persecuting or have persecuted. Again, bad translator. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah. But again, you can see, look at how Jesus's hand has been touched so often.
Yeah.
We are all wanting to reach for Christ and to touch his hand. And he's there. He's there for us. He's waiting inside the door. Go through the church.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last panel, I love how it finishes off with, there's the holy door.
Yeah, and the Holy Father opening it up for everyone.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of showing how everything that we just saw through that salvation history is continuing on through the church.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting. There are a lot of the traditions, small t, in the church, and the traditions, capital T. they're so beautiful and they're so alive today. I mean, that's truly what a tradition is. It's something that is living, and you take part of it. It's not something that happened in the past and you kind of look at, you're kind of observing it from the outside. No, this is an opportunity to be part of something that has been with the people of God ever since there were a people of God.
Exactly. And this really does echo back to that very first panel, because you have the candle torch, like the fiery sword. You have the Swiss guard. So like the angel was standing guard over the doorway to heaven. You have the holy door, which is its doorway to its reflection on earth. That's true. Yeah. So it's just neat to see there's that echoing back to. It is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's one picture in particular I want to take a closer look at. And this is from a couple years, or the previous Jubilee year. Maybe this is the Year of Mercy? Might have been the Year of Mercy, yep. Yeah. But this right there makes those two panels with Peter make so much sense. Oh, yeah. Because here's the Pope. Yes. He is the continuation of Peter's role, and he's pushing on these panel doors. And you can see he's got one hand on Christ's hand where he's saying 70 times 7. Yeah. And then the other hand is right there with Peter's denial. Yeah. It's like, what a powerful thing for the Pope to touch. Yes. Yes. To open the door. Absolutely. Yeah. What must that mean? I mean, we can't imagine what it is to be the Pope, but that I would imagine that this experience would be very deep felt by any man who is the successor of Peter. So that was that one door, all of that in one door. That was just one door. One door. So we're going to take a moment now to thank our patrons, because they make all of this possible and help us create the secrets of sacred art, including Francis B., Chris G., Michael M., Kim L., and Michael S. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the secrets of sacred art and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So yes, thank you, patrons. Yes, thank you as always. As always. So moving on. Here we have, for the first time ever, a holy door at a prison. Yeah. It'd be interesting to find out. Yeah, they must have just put this up for this year. If you're saying it's the first time ever, but I don't know. We'll have to find out. Yeah, so it's been amazing to try to find the artist for these doors, because something's wrong with search engines lately, because they're not doing what I'm asking them to do like they used to. I always end up with crazy other ideas. Yeah. But thankfully, I was able to find the artist's name on this door. And it was written, the little close-up of the panel that's there. It's kind of in the top right. He put his name underneath the grouping of people. And so I was able to find... Agidio Garoli. Yeah. So wonderful work. Tons of other notable bronze work that he's done also, including the 16-meter tall bronze statue of Corazon de Jesus in Ecuador. Okay. Search that out. I put a link in the show notes too. Wow. His bronze work, his statue work is amazing. Yeah. And just it's neat to see. He's also done statues of Maximilian Kolbe for Japan, and a total of 10 church doors all over the world. Yeah. So
wow.
that's a lot of work.
Do you know, looking at this and hearing you say that he did some work for Japan, some of these images, the way the figures are, they're wrapped in their cloaks or whatever, they look very Japanese to me. Don't they?
Yeah.
Just like what I love about Japanese art is they're just, this is something that I would never be able to learn how to do, like the muscle memory to just use those brushes and the ink in such a skilled way that with just a minimal, amount of movement or how you're trying to get a form, and they just do it so cleanly and so simply, and yet it, the eye and the brain kind of put everything together, and it makes this really interesting image. And it does have that feel to me of some Japanese imagery.
Yeah, and I love the way the figures and the events, and these are supposed to be events through the life of Christ, just flow in and out of each other.
Yeah.
And I put a little image there, that other little gold image is just to show a little more detail, some of his other work in kind of a similar style.
Where is that? That's not from the door?
That's not from the door. It's just a replica of another door panel section that he's done.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's beautiful work.
And I think the halo around Jesus is really interesting.
Yeah, it's unique.
It is. I don't know if it's supposed to be like forward facing or...
Right?
Yeah, I don't know. Although I have to say this, I think if they'd done it like a circle, because of the way these images are, juxtaposed against one another, I think a circle would really break that flow visually.
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't do this on an image of Christ, but it makes sense in this because it draws your eye directly to him, but it's not like a break. You're kind of going down the same road, if that makes any sense. But I think if they had done a perfectly round halo, it would have been kind of like a pothole in the road. Like, oh, what's that? Yeah. And then you'd be missing out. You can focus in on him, but then you can take in all of the imagery around him as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it does help with the whole flow of the image. Yeah. You're right. A pure round circle there would look really out of place.
It would, because there are none in any of these, the heads and everything. There's no, there's no like perfectly, there's no right angle in this. It's really an interesting.
Yeah, everything's kind of stretched and elongated.
Yeah.
And then if you get the chance, there are quite a few videos out there about Pope Francis going and opening the Holy Door at the prison. So it's found in a couple of different locations, and there's several links in the show notes. Really beautiful just to kind of hear the effect it had on the workers that were there and the different inmates that had the opportunity to be able to be there for the mass and the opening of the door.
Yeah, you can see the little keyhole on the right-hand side. It's just
all right, so the next door that was opened. So this one's at St. John Lateran.
And again, take a look at what has been rubbed shiny. His little foot.
This one was opened on December 29th, but not by the Pope.
Oh.
The Pope had delegated out to different cardinals the opening, which is something that's happened at other Jubilee years where, and especially I think for St. John Lateran, that the vicar of Rome, the cardinal that's the vicar of Rome, gets to open that door.
Yeah. Okay.
And this looks like a heavy door.
It does.
So it's fascinating to find out that this door was created for the Jubilee of year of 2000. And the artist who worked on this, Badini, he worked on it for 2.5 years and completed it just a few weeks before the door had to be officially closed.
Oh no. Oh my gosh.
So it was still being worked on during the Jubilee year.
Oh my gosh, that's so, that's, well, at least he got it up there, and now it can be used for excuse me. It can, it's going to be there for a while. This is an interesting one. It's bringing a lot of different it's bringing to mind several different images that are familiar to us. So the first one would be Our Lady of, is it Our Lady of Consolation? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And she's pointing up towards the cross. And the cross, or the crucifix, is, do you know the Eisenheimer? I think it's called the Eisenheimer crucifix, or the Eisenheimer.
Is that the one with all the visible wounds on it?
Yeah, and it's really intense. And some of the hands and everything are Gundevald.
That's it. Yes.
The Teus Gundevald. And so, the limbs and the fingers all seem somewhat distorted, and in some ways it's an uncomfortable image because it depicts suffering in such an intense way, but at the same time it's beautiful. And this, when you look at at Christ's hands, they're really twisted and distorted. I have to say, I don't like how the Blessed Mother's hand is so big.
How elongated it is.
Yeah, and I think it's probably there to draw you up to to point to Christ crucified, and so that I can understand. But I just feel like hands should be in proportion to faces. Haven't you ever done when you sketching faces? You have to make sure the hands don't cover the face. That's a big hand, but like you said, if there's times where you need that emphasis, I have seen where there's very large, elongated hands. Although I did have someone compliment me on the crucifix I did for a school a couple years ago. Yeah, because I actually left Mother Teresa's very large hands in the proper proportion. Yeah, because I guess she had very long hands for the size of her tiny little body. Yeah. Well, she probably didn't start off that tiny. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She got smaller and smaller. Maybe her hands didn't, but and it's so it. But again, if you look at that Gundevald crucifixion, the hands and everything, they're kind of a little bit out of proportion as well. So I just wonder if he might have been inspired by this. And of course that crown of thorns looks pretty awful,
That's a substantial crown of thorns.
It is. It's like the most intense crown of thorns I've seen.
I think this is the first time I've seen crucified Christ right next to an image of the infant Christ. And so I feel like having those two right next to each other like this really brings out the intensity of the suffering.
It does. Yeah. And especially the suffering of Our Lady.
So the cardinal, when he gave his homily for the opening of the doors ceremony, he was talking about the prodigal son. And in the Gospels, the father joyfully welcomes the son as he returns after having squandered everything. And then the cardinal said, open These open arms are the holy door, explained the cardinal. Let us not hesitate to go through the door that leads to God's heart. And I thought that was so beautiful to combine the imagery of the door with the openness of the father in the prodigal son story.
Yeah. And the openness of the church to, to want her children home. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I was trying to figure out is the 9 stars. That kind of threw me off. I've used to seeing like 12 stars associated with Mary.
Yeah.
But this was 9 stars.
And did you find anything or?
Well, the only thing that came to mind right away was the 9 First Fridays. And so this is crucifixion. So you have the promise, it's promise number 12 of the First Friday's devotion of the Sacred Heart. And Christ in the promise says, I promise thee in the excess of the mercy of my heart that its all-powerful love will grant to all those who shall receive communion on the first Friday of 9 consecutive months the grace of final repentance. They shall not die under my displeasure, nor without receiving the sacraments. My heart shall be their assured refuge at that last hour.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And, as you're reading that, I'm thinking of the 9 months that Our Lady carried our Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And with her being here, this is as much about coming to Christ through the Blessed Mother when you're going through this door, because one of her titles is Gate of Heaven.
That's right.
And so this is like a tribute to the Blessed Mother as well.
And then the Latin phrase on the door is Christ yesterday, today, and always.
There you go.
So very nice. So what do we got? 2 more doors to go here.
Yeah. We're going fast.
It doesn't feel that fast, does it? Okay. All right. So
Porta Santa, the holy door.
Yeah. So you want to give us some details on this one, Alix?
Okay. Yes, absolutely. So the Porta Santa, which is only open on the occasion of a Jubilee Year. It was financed by the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre and created by Luigi Enzo Mattei. The door was unveiled by Pope John Paul II. The 2 main panels depict the Virgin Mary and the risen Christ. 2 of Mary's titles are inscribed above. The Council of Ephesus proclaimed her Mater Dei, or Mother of God, while the Second Vatican Council declared her the Mater Ecclesiae, Mother of the Church. The door is crowned with a coat of arms of Pope St. John Paul II with his motto, Totus Tuus, always yours. And that's beautiful because he certainly did have a devotion to her. Mm-hmm. And it looks like, what is going on down below? So the second, we've got it, Mater Dei and Mater Ecclesiae. All right. So those are images of the Mother of God, and that's the Annunciation. I see that. And then the next one is Mother of the Church, which is probably, it looks like perhaps the Pentecost. She's praying with the there we go.
Mm-hmm. And I think down below would be the 2 councils.
Okay, yes.
So one grouping is the Council of Ephesus, and the other grouping would be the Second Vatican Council.
Interesting. Yeah. There's a pillar of one, and is that a pillar of smoke on the second one? I don't know.
Oh, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But I love that I was able to find the artist's actual website.
Yeah.
Click on this link, people, and look through all of his work. Especially, there's a whole gallery of images of him making the door and all the work that went into it.
Was this done with a lost wax method as well? Do you know?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that when I was reading it, but I love just seeing his sketches, his carving the wax, or not wax, but I think this is clay work that he's doing there.
Yeah, this is clay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, beautiful work. All right, we ready for the last door?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
Last door. This is at St. Paul outside the wall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the burial place of Paul of Tarsus. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, and there's been a basilica there a long time, since 324.
I know. That's so amazing.
That is amazing.
I don't even remember seeing this when I went to Rome, but I was so overwhelmed with that place, I have to say. In a good way. How do you see everything? And we were there for a week and you just can't see everything. Not something that's been around this long.
This door was created by Enrico Manfrini.
That's how I would say it.
Okay.
Yep.
And he's, again, a lot of these sculptors who did these doors had done other doors and other large sculpture work. He actually did, there's another set of doors at the Cathedral of Siena that are the glorification of Mary. Again, check out the links in the show notes for that one. It's beautiful work. And he did a lot of work for John the 23rd. And for Pope Paul VI, he did an altar, a crucifix, a bronze door. And he was actually called the sculptor of the popes because of his long career. He had worked for so many popes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So from Pius XII through John Paul II.
Wow.
Quite a career.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, we're looking at the resurrection of Christ in this kind of the detail piece that you have, but we have the resurrection of Christ. We have the prodigal son, which of course the father said to his older son, this was the son who was dead, but now he's alive. So, and then the soldiers kind of being taken aback by the resurrection. And then I'm just going to make a guess. Would you think that the two small figures on, and this is in the first half of the panel, where it's divided, would you say that might be the Good Samaritan?
Oh, down at the ground.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense now. I was always wrapping my head around, wait, is this just another image of the Father and the Son? Is it, but no, having it be the Good Samaritan makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because of course he was left for dead. The man on the road was left for dead, and the Good Samaritan came and saved him. So there's lots of, and I love the connection between the resurrection and our salvation.
And then to pair this right into John Paul II. Looks like, at a World Youth Day or something, there's so many little figures in the background. I know. Oh, and there's a little dog. There's another little doggy there.
There you go.
So I'd have to say, of all of the doors that we saw, my favorite is at St. Peter's.
Yes. I think that one, I have to agree with you. I really liked the, it was very timeless. Some of these other ones are quite, you can kind of go, oh, I know when that one was made. I can kind of pick out when that was done. But that one seems timeless. And when you look at it and you look at the coin from the Jubilee of, is it 1525 or whatever, you can see a connection there. And that's what's important. I do like, you can connect those. it was my favorite as well. There was a lot to look at as well.
Yeah. And like you said, the timelessness, I feel like that hits me more than anything when it comes to sacred art. To look at something and not exactly know when it was made, like you said.
Yeah.
Sometimes you kind of can guess, oh yeah, this might have been in the 60s or 70s. But when you get something that was recently made, the 50s, and to know that I looked at it the first time I looked at it and thought, oh, how old is this door? It's got to be hundreds of years old. And
it could have been. Yeah. And there's certain styles that obviously are older, iconographic and Gothic and Baroque. But there's something, when it's done well, it's almost like time travel. We can be right there. And then some things you're kind of stopped right in front of it because like, oh, I know this was made at this time. And it's bringing some of these elements in. And and I mean, this is not a criticism of that. It's just, it's not an easy thing to make something timely and timeless at the same time.
Yes, exactly. It's a challenge. It is a big challenge.
It is. And it clearly can be done. It can be done.
Yep.
And has been done for centuries. Yeah. So we'll be back again next time. We'll actually be sharing to the general viewing audience our Celtic art project that we had done for our patrons. So everybody can have a go at that. And we'll make sure to put some more pictures on Discord of those. Yeah, and I have to say this. Please join our Discord community. Boy, we are getting such great commentary and photographs. I just love it. We've got some of our Discord members traveling around the world and sharing sacred art that they've seen, and we discuss it, and we just have a great time. And some of our Discord members, and you all know who you are, they're just hilarious, and they're so friendly and so encouraging of one another, and always wanting to do deep dives, and they're curious about art, and we love it. So please join us. Really, it's growing. We're so pleased.
Yeah, we enjoy all the comments and feedback that we get.
Yeah.
Also, after our little re-release or big release for the Celtic prayer card, we're going to be taking a look. We're going from doors to the highest heights. We're going to be checking out a little trip I got to go on about a year ago, or almost a year ago now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy. I know.
Wow.
So we're going to tool around Spain a bit and see some different wonderful things. So again, if you've been to Spain, you want to share some beautiful artwork, there's so much didn't even see, not even a 100th of it.
Yes.
And also, I highly recommend becoming one of our patrons, because this season we're going to be working on a really great project. Alix, what was the idea that you have coming up for our patrons this season?
Well, what we wanted to do is we are going to put together something really special for Lent. And something that's going to be prayerful and meditative and beautiful and with sacred art. So that's going to be, that's a pretty good teaser. That'd
be good. That's a good teaser. So become a patron so you can pray along with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Art meditation.
Yes.
All right. So until then, I'm Kathryn Laffrey.
And I'm Alix Murray. And we hope you find something beautiful. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.